Hey guys, so I thought I'd make a really quick video just to show just to help you sort of think about how you can use Claude Code for your GTM function to build lead lists, build copy, things like that, right? I'm just going to give you a very quick demo of how just one specific use case here of how we're using it to build skills that will help build lead lists that do enrichment, and then can also build the copy as well, all from basically a single command, right? I'll make other videos in the future just breaking it down in a little bit more detail, but I want to show you just the front end just to show you this is exactly like one of the particular use cases that we might have. Obviously at a little bit higher scale, I'm just doing this for demo purposes, but I want to show you how it kind of works. So in here, I've just built a skill/command, which is very simple to do, quite literally, describe what you do or what you're looking to do. And then once you've described what you're looking to do, and if you're ever going to do that in future, just say, can you turn this into a repeatable skill that I can call upon anytime in future across any session? And so in future, you'll be able to do that. And so what I've done here is I've taken a skill where we use Blitz API to build a lead list. And essentially all I'm doing, so your skill/command would be different. It would be whatever you want to call it. But here, this calls or invokes the skill itself. So this basically is saying the skill with all the instructions is here. And then here you can add a description in. So here we're looking for ops leaders at professional services firms in the UK, 10 to 500 employees. And then it's going to build a list around that, right? And you could also have this so that it works in Slack. So if you wanted to build a list in Slack, you can also do that and so on. I've just built it here so that it will pull list. It will then filter those, like bad contacts out. And of course, this isn't as refined as it could be. Again, this is just for demo purposes, but I just want to show you this is what's doable. This is what's possible. And it completely changes the way that, well, I would say instead of completely, but it changes the way that you can kind of work with these models because it's just so much easier to do. You can just describe, no, I want to change this. Can we remove these job titles, please? And can we have it every time we build a list for this client, like always remove these job titles. We never want these in. And then you can also, if you wanted to afterwards, you can add in like any specific classification criteria. If you want to then add in further enrichment, further steps to research the prospect, etc. That's not the point of the video here, but I'm just sharing those are things that you can do. So if I literally type this in, press enter, it's going to run. It might take a few minutes to do, but basically what it's going to do, it's going to query Blitz API. It's going to take this natural language here, and it's then going to put it into the filters that Blitz API, which is a search tool or an API basically that allows us to pull lead lists. It's going to pull those into filters that are compatible with Blitz API. And obviously I've gone back and forth and just sort of trained it a little bit just to give it like, I don't need to write the plan actually. It's going to go back and forth to pull the filters that it needs to. And then it's going to create the list. It's then going to normalize the company name. It's then going to get the emails. It's going to validate the emails and so on and so forth. So click one. It shouldn't necessarily have to do a plan, but it's just because I started a new chat. And then what it's going to do is it's going to create copy around that. And I've given it a fake, what do you want to call it? Like a fake, like a demo company, right? Just to work with. So that it's got some context and it just sort of understands like, okay, cool, this is what the offer of this company is with some fake case studies and so on. It's just for the demo, right? And then it's going to pull a list around that. And then it's also going to pull and create copy around that based on the offer of this particular demo client. And then it's going to put all of those together into a Google Sheet and then into a Google Doc, and then we can go and review it and we can check everything is working and it's all good. And then if it's all good, you can push them into the campaigns. And obviously you could create the campaigns with another skill, which I've gone through in a separate video. But this is just more to focus on the lead list side. Now with the lead list side, there's obviously 1,000,001 nuances to build it depends if you're building something for scale or if you're looking for more for signals. There are so many different ways to build a specific lead list. This is just to give you an idea of like, you could do this, right? This is a small scale lead list. It's going to be maybe like 100 or 200 leads in there. But obviously, if you wanted to do this at massive scale, very doable as well. Like we've built lists that are 100K plus in a session, which is, again, very doable. It takes a few hours, obviously, but it's very doable. Or you could also have a smaller list, which is really refined with a lot of research for each individual prospect. And so if you think about it sequentially, like a workflow. You are starting with the base foundational list to make sure that you've got the right contacts that you want to reach out to. And then you need to also understand, why am I reaching out to them, and what information is important to understand, that then maybe filters out some of those contacts. If you want to do some deeper research about, do they have X amount of years of experience, or do they have any signals online that, whether that's funding or they're hiring or that whatever it is, right? You can go and do those bits of research, and you can go and get API keys, connect it all up, so that you can now have a full flow, right? So it's exactly the same mental model as you would have with, say, Clay or NAN or any of these things where you have step 1, step 2, step 3, and so on, and sequential, except now you're able to just command it in natural language. And then once you're happy with the outputs, all right, and that's the main thing, is making sure that you tweak things until you're happy with the output, and then you create a repeatable skill. So now every time you want to invoke a quick lead list build for X particular client or whatever it is, you can create the skill and then have the instructions there, right? Not the instruction, but then the output there. And same with, if we want to build copy, we just need the input of the context on the client. And then after we've got context on the client, we can then create the copy based on the copy SOPs and skills and so on, right? So that's kind of how it would work. So I'm just going to let this run for a few minutes. Hopefully it's relatively quick. I think I may have messed it up because I put it in plan mode by accident. I didn't mean to put it in plan mode. It should just be a straight command without that. But so we'll come back in a second and we'll just review the files and just kind of show you, this is what it looks like to use skills to build lead lists within Claude Code. So I just restarted it here because it was just, I didn't want it in plan mode. I put it in plan mode by accident. So just whilst we're waiting, so for those that don't know, plan mode is just essentially the initial part of the conversation where you can obviously build out the plan and stuff. That works when you're trying to build the skill in the first place, or you're trying to do a specific task. But when you're just trying to execute a command, you don't really want plan mode, which was a mistake I made. It just, when I open up a session, it normally will just default to plan mode. So that's not what I wanted. So I restarted it. But basically what it's doing right now is it's running the full enrichment pipeline. So it's doing a blitz search, then enrichment, so validating the emails and so on and so forth, then uploading it to a Google Sheet, and then it's going to give the campaign copy as well. Again, that's quite literally just from a command, right? So you could change this to anything else that you wanted to. So you could say, I don't know, founders at SaaS companies or whatever it is, right? And as long as you've thought about the process and the system initially, right? And this involves pulling the API docs, understanding what's actually in the API docs, what are the endpoints, what kind of filters can we use, etc. And then building an idea or understanding of, okay, if I say this is kind of what I'm referring to. If you go back and forth with Claude to build out what that logic looks like, and then once you're happy with it, do a couple of test runs. Once you're happy with it, then you create and package that up into a skill. And then once you have the skill, it will then just run that next time and every time afterwards, right? And then the only variable that you have here is just the specific criteria that you're looking for. You just got to, and then it's something that you chip away at and kind of can improve over time as well. So it can also be active. But generally speaking, if you do the work up front, you can reuse that skill over and over again for a very long time. Like I haven't touched that copywriting skill for a while because I spent quite a bit of time going back and forth and putting all of the logic that I have in my brain around how do we actually build how do we actually build write copy, and then putting all those instructions into a format, into a file, so that then anytime we need to build copy, all I need is the input of here's the company context. And that's a separate skill. It's taking a company's website that creates a context doc. So for example, when we have a client on board, we can get their website, and then from their website, we can get the context, right? All nicely wrapped up in a markdown file that's the input. And then we have the copy SOP. We combine those things and it spits out copy in different variations that we want without having to do excess workload, basically. And obviously you go back and forth and tweak things afterwards, but and you obviously always have a human in the loop, but it's just more just to show you these are different ways that you can use these tools. It now has finished doing its thing. So let's take a look at the lead list and see how it is. So the fake company here, the demo company, is called Flowdesk. So we have all the data here. We have the so what we've got here: email, valid email, source. We've got the internal finder. So this is actually an internal email finder that we built, which basically comes in after Blitz, alongside like Prospio and Lead Magic as well, just to speed things up with our enrichment side of things. But yeah, so you can see here we've got 200 odd plus prospects. Some have emails, however many have emails. Titles, head of performance and operations director. So if I was going through this again, I would obviously have a little bit of a tighter criteria in terms of like, yeah, we want to remove, I don't know, maybe for example, like we don't want managers or whatever it is. So there's two ways. Another one here, like employee experience. So there's some noise in this list, right? And so what I would do now is either go back to the not drawing board, but go back to the skill and say, these are some aspects that, and you would do this before, as you're building the skill, right? Before you actually do like a final run. Again, this is just for demo. But what you would do here is you've got two options. You can either now just do a further classification afterwards. So you can just say, can we build a script you can either score the titles and say like, this is our criteria. Can you score the titles? Here's my scoring rubric. And then you can save that and package that for future if you ever do something similar. Or you can go back and just say, can we rerun the list, but can we remove X, Y, and Z titles because they're not irrelevant, right? So there's two ways of going about it. But anyways, you get the gist. And there's some people in here that we don't want, like head of sales and so on, right? This was like operations leaders. So generally speaking, the quality is okay. So there are ways that we could improve that. But again, this is just for a demo, so I would have spent time doing it, but I just wanted to show like this is what is possible. Also normalizes the company name as well. And yeah, we've got the email, the valid email, and so on and so forth. So what we could do now is we could just push this into campaigns, or we could do a further bit of filtration. So if we, for example, we've done just filtering based on the industry, but we want to understand which of these companies has X on their website, we could then just get a script, pull a script that pulls the data from the website and then analyze it with AI. Or if you wanted even more in depth, you could use referral, scrape the website and then analyze the website contents with AI. And then you could also, like I said, you could create a script or a scoring system around the job titles and so on. So there's so much more stuff that you could do here, but this is just to show like, this is how you could structure your pipeline or your workflow essentially. And when I say pipeline, I mean like workflow. And then the second aspect to it is the campaign copy. So let's have a quick look at that. And again, I've created these skills so that it just shows exactly, so you can see here, like here's, right, it's nicely formatted. And it took just under 9 minutes to do, 9 minutes. So definitely could do with being a little bit quicker. So that's something that I would go back and see how can we get it done quicker, usually with like concurrent workers and stuff like that. But anyways, it's not that. It's just the point is to show you how it works. So this is already spin text. So you can say most leaders I speak to at company-sized firms are running key workflows through spreadsheets. This is obviously to do with the made-up company, right? And what their offer is. We built Flowdesk to fix out one of the clients, blah, blah, got their onboarding by this. Would it make sense to have quick chat to see where? So that's the only thing. I'm not sure where it's actually used quick chat because I've told it to remove quick chat, but that would be something that I would go back and just say, make sure that we never say quick chat or any of that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, like the structure and the flow of the copy itself is pretty good. And this would be something that we would actually use for a campaign. And then the structure usually is that we have 3 emails. We have the final, which is like a breakup email, and so on. So yeah, I mean, overall, it's done a pretty good job. Obviously, again, this is just a demo. So I just wanted to show this is how we're using it. But obviously, if you want to take this as an idea and expand it out a little bit further. But yeah, this is in general how we would do it. And we would obviously put in a lot more care and emphasis on the specifics of copy and also the filtering of the lead list and so on when we're building it. But again, I just wanted to show this is how it works and how you could use it within Claude Code yourself. So yeah, I hope you found some value from this. If you're interested in us running campaigns for you at large scale and helping you generate more meetings, and feel free to book in a call below, wherever this is on YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever it is.